afternoon, everyone. I, Mudita Raj, Assistant Professor, Delhi Metropolitan Education, welcome you all to the 34th episode of the Vibrant India series. I also welcome all our viewers who are watching us live on Facebook. Vibrant India series, VIS, is an initiative of DME Media School for celebrating 75 years of India's independence. This series is a year-long exercise. As a part of this series, we invite inspiring personalities for online talk, interview, and interaction with our students. The invited personalities for this series are from all walks of life and all parts of the country. And today, our special guest is Dr. Saurabh Ghosh, Professor, IIT Delhi, and Visiting Professor, Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Switzerland. I would like to take a moment and introduce Delhi Metropolitan Education to all our viewers. Delhi Metropolitan Education, DME, is an A-grade premier educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, New Delhi, and approved by the Bar Council of India. The institute offers BBA, BLLB, and BBLLB with BCI approval and BAJMC programs. DME believes in imparting world-class education to its students while training them to develop and enhance their skills. This education and training enables them in taking up challenges of the industry and creating a space for themselves with their competence and vigor. DME Media School is one of the most promising media institutes in the country. It offers BA in journalism and mass communication. It is recognized as a school focused on the growth of its faculty and students through academic and co-curricular activities. Major flagship events and initiatives of the school include BG Varghese Guest Lecture Series, Peer-to-Peer FDP, International Film Festival SIFI, International Conference ICANN, and Vritika, Convention of Media Students. And newly added in the list is the VIS, Vibrant India series. It is our privilege to introduce you to our guest, the personality of the 34th episode of VIS. I request Ishika, student, DME Media School, to introduce our guest of the day. Over to you, Ishika.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Saurabh Ghosh is professor in the Department of Fiber Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. He is researching the interface between fundamental and applied research by combining the principles of textile technology and tissue engineering. Sir has done his PhD from University of Basel, Switzerland. Dr. Ghosh was postdoctoral associate in Tissue Engineering Research Center, Department of Biomedical Engineering, Tufts University, USA. He was awarded the Outstanding Young Faculty Fellowship by Kusuma Trust, IIT Delhi. Sir has received the MAHE Award by the Society of Biomaterials and Artificial Organs in 2012. He is the chairman of Institution Committee for Stem Cell Research, ICSCR, of Safdarjung Hospital. He is member of the expert group on technology development in silk and its biomaterials application, DBT. Dr. Ghosh is member of the expert group on bioengineering, ICMR. Sir is the associate editor, Journal of Clinical Orthopedics and Trauma. He is member of the editorial advisory board in ACS Applied Biomaterials. Dr. Ghosh is visiting professor at Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Zurich. So let's see a few glimpses from his life. Thank you.
Joining us today. It is indeed an honor to host you. I now request Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, Head DME Media School, to welcome the guest. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mudita. Vibrant India series as a tribute to all those people who made supreme sacrifices for the independence of our motherland. India will be completing 75 years of independence this year. We started celebration last year only. This program has been launched as a part of these celebrations. Our guest was Brigadier E.K. Saxena, who served the country in 2 wars. Following this, Madam Bhavrin Kandari, a known environment activist, Professor Ujjwal K. Chaudhary, senior media educator and column writer, Dr. Nakul Parashar, science communicator and director of Vigyan Prasar, Dr. Monisha Behel, social activist from the Northeast, Mr. Rajesh Badal, senior journalist and filmmaker, Colonel R.K. Dargan, professor and advisor at MIT School of Communication, MIT University, Noida, graced this program. To name the other celebrated personalities in this series, Mr. Ashish Kulkarni, the pioneer of animation industry in India, Madam Tripti S. Hingal, an entrepreneur and a startup consultant, Captain Dharmveer Singh, a versatile personality and an army man, Madam Jyotika Kalra, member of National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Sanjay Banerjee, a sport journalist and commentator, Mr. Augustine Ballet, communication specialist with UNICEF, Captain Indrani Singh, a pilot and entrepreneur, Ms. Vibha Lakhera, a social activist, Mr. Arvind Gaur, a theatre personality, Dr. Sachidanand Joshi, a writer and educational administrator, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni from the Indian Army, Lieutenant Dr. Gurmeet Singh from Indian Army, and global Hindi educator, squadron leader Prerna Chaturvedi, a veteran of Indian Air Force, our guest. Since the beginning of 2022, Mr. Shambhuna Shukla, senior journalist and column writer, Mr. Lakshmi Shankar Bajpayee, an eminent poet and commentator, Sufi Sayyid Azmal Nizami, custodian of Sufi Dargah Nizamuddin Aulia, Dr. Dave Eichert, media educator from the University of North Carolina in the US, Ms. Palvi Fauzdar, an adventure motorcyclist and social worker, Mr. S.P. Rawal, an entrepreneur and author, Dr. Midula Tandon, doctor, social worker and entrepreneur, Mr. Virendra Kumar Gaur, retired Inspector General of BSF and author, Mr. Ashok Pradhan, bureaucrat, educationalist and social worker, Dr. Mridula Seth, mental health advocate and social activist, Mr. Balendu Sharma Dadiji, a digital media expert and an advocate of Hindi and other Indian languages.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request Professor Dr. Amrit Saxena, Dean DME Media School and originator and ideator of the Vibrant India series, to address the gathering and take the program forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mudita. So it's indeed a matter of great pleasure that today we have Dr. Saurabh Ghosh with us, who is a scientist, and as this whole program is composed of this Vibrant India series, we have initiated this whole series to invite distinguished personalities from different fields, from different walks of life, to talk to the student, to talk to the younger generation, and tell them all such things which they have gone through in their own journey, and all such points of inspirations which could motivate the younger generation to do something good, something substantial in life. So that's the whole idea behind starting this Vibrant India series. Until now, we have been having illustrious personalities right from defense to the creative field to journalism to writing, and obviously there are few people who have come from the science and technology, and that is how this session becomes special, because we have invited a scientist, Professor Ghosh, to be with us in this session, and that too he has worked in a completely distinct area, which is otherwise not popularly understood that way. So I feel that it will be a delight in today's session that we will get to know all such things which are not commonly known. So I welcome Professor Ghosh in this session. And as this whole program is composed of, there are broadly 4 segments. And second segment after this segment, I will request you, Professor Ghosh, to tell us about your life journey. And with all such experiences, such anecdotes, which could be a pathfinder to the young people, meaning thereby that whatever problems, challenges you would have faced, and how did you overcome all those things to create a space for themselves, for yourself, and then the work that you did. How that is distinct, this can be motivating to all younger people to find out the possibility to explore all such areas wherein some good work can be done and which is commonly not understood by the people. And then in the third segment, I will be asking you certain more questions, certain queries on whatever you would have told us in your talk. And finally, the house will be open to the students, wherein they will be putting up your queries to you, and I will request you to answer to all those queries. So moving ahead, Professor Ghosh, I will request you to please take it over and take the session forward with your narration, with your talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me in your program. So thanks for your nice introduction. So to start with, I grew up with in a typical middle class Bengali family. I belong to Calcutta, and my father worked in Kashipur Ordnance Factory, Kolkata, and my mother was a school teacher, and she was a teacher of Calcutta Deaf and Dumb School. So she used to teach all the deaf and dumb children. So as a typical Bengali, we should all have some hobby. So from my childhood, I was very keen on drawing, on the fine arts, and I used to draw a lot of paintings. So I studied in one school in Narendranath Vidyalaya till class 4, and then I joined in Ramakrishna Mission till in class 5. I have one sister, and then my parents took care of their children uniformly. So they took very good care of our studies. I never stood first or second in class, but I was on an average more or less a good student. So in class 10 board exam, which we call as Madhyamik exam, I scored quite well. I secured 713 marks. And then I joined Scottish Church College, Kolkata. So Scottish Church College is quite famous because there was Swami Vivekananda or Subhash Chandra Bose, who was a student of Scottish Church College. And that college was one of the prominent college in Calcutta. But at that time, that college was very much focused on politics. So I passed Uच्च Madhyamik or class 12 board from that college, and I got first division. And then I joined chemistry honors in that same college. Now here I will tell some setbacks or some low period in my life, and then how I could overcome. And then in my career, I got several setbacks. So till this time, whatever I told you about my primary school, about my college, everything was more or less settled. So then here comes the first setback. So I was more or less sincere student, and I was a good student till class 12. And then when I joined the graduation in chemistry, I became very casual about my studies. So I was not taking studies seriously, and I was in a relationship. And then that girl applied for a medical exam and she got selected, and I could not get selected in medical. And then finally I failed in part 1 maths subject. So it was chemistry honors. So I passed in chemistry, I passed in physics, but I failed in mathematics. Then suddenly it was wake up situation for me, that how can I fail in one subject and what I can do to revive my career. So then somehow I tried to do more maths and I tried to pass that exam, part 1 exam, and I tried to pass the part 2 exam. So I finished my BSc. After finishing my BSc in chemistry honors, I applied for BTech in fiber science and technology. In Calcutta University, there is a particular BTech, but the criteria for applying in that BTech is BSc. So I got admitted in that BTech program, and I was studying in first year and second year, and I was more or less, I was not very sure what I need to do with my career, but I was still studying in that BTech program. And when I was in third year, then that relationship broke. And then I got awake, and then I started to look at my career sincerely. And then I started to read the magazines in library. And then I tried to find one upcoming new research topic, which is called medical textile. And then I applied for GATE exam and I scored very well. I scored around 89.95 percentile in GATE. And with that score, I applied in IIT Delhi for doing masters. So then the second setback came in my life. So first setback was I got failed in mathematics in part 1. Then second setback was in April 2000, I got diagnosed for chronic myeloid leukemia. And then there were many symptoms for leukemia, but surprisingly, I had nothing serious. So I had enlarged spleen, and I went to the local doctor, and the doctor recommended certain blood test. So on an average, if you measure WBC in your blood, you will have 9,000 to 10,000 WBCs per cc. My WBC count was a couple of millions. And then I was immediately admitted in Ramakrishna Mission Hospital in Calcutta. My parents were running here and there, and the doctors told that I will survive for just maybe maximum 6 months. So that was, I'm telling about 2000 April, where doctor told that I am going to survive only for 6 months. So as my father was roaming here and there, and he tried to find one hematologist, his name was Brigadier Dr. R.N. Datta. So Dr. Datta worked for Indian Army, and he received AVSM award. AVSM is Ati Vishisht Seva Medal. So the doctors who were working for Indian Army who get this distinct fellowship from Indian Army. So Dr. Datta lost his son of same type of leukemia around 1970s. And then he took this type of cancer as his personal battle. So he used to read a lot of research ongoing around the world to treat this type of disease. And at that time in India, there was treatment option was for CML was either hydroxyurea or interferon gamma. So hydroxyurea can kill cancer cells from the peripheral blood, but it cannot cure or it cannot prevent the disease to grow from the bone marrow. And interferon gamma was very, very toxic. So he told that on the first meeting, he told that I got disconnected from that hospital and I came to him. And in the very first meeting, he wrote down in a piece of paper that what are the paths in front of me right now. So he drawn that hydroxyurea, interferon gamma, and in Novartis company in Switzerland is doing research on a drug molecule. And the name of the drug molecule at the time was STI 571. So that is a tyrosine kinase inhibitor. But he told that if you can survive for a few months, then maybe you will be able to take that drug. So right now I cannot say anything, but depending upon the situation, you can continue. So I told him that, okay, I would like to apply, as I have got a GATE score, I would like to apply to IIT, and then just give me any medicine so that I can survive for 6 months or 1 year, so that I can finish my MTech from IIT. That will fulfill one of my dreams. And then if I go to IIT Delhi, then I would like to go to Switzerland or in some other countries so that I can get this medicine. So at the time, Novartis company was doing animal clinical trial. Then they did human clinical trial only in USA and Europe. And then I took 2 doses of chemotherapy, and I took hydroxyurea for quite some time. So around June 2000, I came to IIT Delhi. I applied for interview and I got selected in IIT. Then around June 2000, I joined IIT Delhi to do my MTech. So after joining IIT, that was a very difficult time for me, because I used to spend 50% time for my studies, for studying all the coursework. I have to attend all the practical class. And I used to devote rest 50% time for reading about all the research ongoing about CML. And at the time, I got in touch with many big dignitaries. So I got, for example, Dr. Shubha Mudgal was Executive Director of CPA, Cancer Patient Aid Association. And then I learned about Cancer Patient Aid Association's unique innovative program, specific patient-specific programs, awareness camps, training program, and they also organize psychological assistance, and they also try to purchase certain medicines and give that medicine to cancer patients. But at the time, my medicine was not available, so people are still doing research. But Dr. Shubha Mudgal tried to connect me with other doctors, for example, Dr. S. Advani of Tata Memorial Cancer Center. So what is CML? This chronic myeloid leukemia happens when 2 chromosomes exchange materials to form a bad chromosome called Philadelphia chromosome. And this in turn will form a fusion protein, a BCR-ABL cancer protein. So if this BCR-ABL is not, generally this BCR-ABL is not present in normal human being, but for those patients, the BCR-ABL is present, and that will develop one tyrosine kinase enzyme. So the scientists of Novartis try to develop a lot of drug molecules, and they are working on it. And so this Glivec, the drug molecule STI 571 or Glivec was designed to kill only the cells which are having BCR-ABL fusion protein. And that will not affect any normal WBC. So it was a targeted therapy. So it was not like a traditional chemotherapy. It was a very personally focused, targeted chemotherapy. So then I tried to see if there is any patients group, online group, because there are many patients in US, there are many patients in Europe. They all form an email group, and then whatever queries they have in their mind, they keep on discussing about that particular disease. So then I came to know about Dr. Richard Rockefeller. So Dr. Richard Rockefeller's father was American banker David Rockefeller. So probably you have heard about Rockefeller family. So Richard was chairman of Doctors Without Borders. So all the doctors around the world only work in one particular country. So all the Indian doctors cannot go to other country to treat their patients. But Doctors Without Borders is especially privileged that they can go to any country and they can treat their patients. Generally, United Nations or WHO takes help of Doctors Without Borders. And Richard was diagnosed with CML in 2000. So Richard was in our patients online group. And so he used to translate research papers in layman's language. And he used to provide many of answers to many of our personal queries. So he was very active in online patients group to provide clinical explanation, supported so many cancer patients who have many type of queries, fears, ODs. So during my MTech, he provided a lot of great support, comfort, and guidance to me. So from Dr. Richard Rockefeller, I came to know about Dr. Brian Drucker. So he was one oncologist and researcher in Oregon Health Science University in Portland, USA. So Dr. Richard Rockefeller told that Brian Duker is conducting last phase human clinical trial on this type of medicine. So based on all the success of this type of particular drug in human clinical trial, Glivec was approved by Food and Drug Administration around 21 years ago. So around May 10th, 2001, this drug was approved. So now the Novartis company decided that they are not going to make different price for this particular drug. So they told that they have spent enough amount of money for doing research and they would like to sell this drug in same price all over the world. So in India, if at the time when I was doing my MTech in 2000 to 2001, so that drug was not available in India. But if they sell this drug in India, that will cost 1.25 lakhs per month. And the patients need to take this drug continuously. Every day, the patient to take this medicine. And that will inhibit the tyrosine kinase, which is activated in my body. If I stop taking the drug, then again, the tyrosine kinase will come back. And again, my WBC production will increase. So this 1.25 lakhs per month is really a highly unaffordable type of amount, which to majority of the population. So on top of that, the patient must continue with this medicine for their whole life. So that was a big challenge in front of me. So I was studying and then I was also communicating with many people. So then IIT Delhi supported me. So then IIT Delhi has a system that if any patient had any problem, then they can only pay 25,000 rupees. But I told that 25,000 rupees is at a time 25,000 maximum. So I told that this 25,000 rupees will be nothing for me. So I was in touch with Professor Pushpa Bajaj and the director of IIT Delhi. So they raised one fund. So they used to apply to different agencies, for example, TCS, Infosys, and various other MNCs, so that those MNCs can donate money to Cancer Patient Aid Association. And then in return, they will get some tax benefit. And then that based on the fund raised by Infosys, TCS, and everybody, then we could generate almost 3 months medicine for me. At the time, Professor Pushpa Bajaj had one type of cancer and she went to USA. And from USA, she purchased 2 bottles of medicines for me. So then my third phase of life will come. So around in 2002, I finished my MTech. And then in IIT, probably you know that all students will apply for campus interview. So I decided that I am not going to apply for campus interview because no company in India will be able to provide that much amount of money to me so that I can purchase that medicine. So I was determined that I will apply in Switzerland. And although at the time Novartis company had launched this medicine in only USA and Europe, they have not launched in Asian countries. But if I can go to Switzerland, then I will be able to probably communicate with Switzerland, with Novartis, and probably I will be able to get that medicine. So I denied campus interview. And then I applied to one Professor Vasela, because I was working in alginate-based wound dressing materials during my MTech. So I searched in Google who in Switzerland is working on alginate, chitosan type of polymer. So I found that there is one Professor Andrea Vasela, and I applied to him, and within 2 to 3 days, he replied very positively. So we exchanged all our mark sheets, and he decided that he is going to offer a PhD position to me. And I went to Switzerland for my PhD. And I had 3 months medicine stock with me. And then by the time I already finished one medicine, and then I had 2 months medicine with me. So as I joined in Switzerland, I joined in probably May 2002. And then I told Professor Vasila that I had CML. And that will not affect my performance, but I will try to contact Switzerland and with the Novartis company in Switzerland. And if I can get that medicine, then probably it will be helpful for me. So as soon as I told this, for this chronic myeloid leukemia type of stories, so he was very shocked. So he told that his brother is Dr. Daniel Vasila. He is CEO and chairman of Novartis company. So first of all, Professor Vasila was very shocked, and he told that he should have informed me before coming to Switzerland. So now we had some telephonic discussion. So in the telephonic discussion, Professor Vasila, his brother, Dr. Daniel Vasila, and myself discussed. So Dr. Vasila, who is chairman and CEO of Novartis, told that they are under tremendous pressure from Swiss government. So Swiss government told that you cannot sell this drug with such a high price. So they are trying to develop one drug donation program. So he, by compassionate ground, he can provide that medicine to me, but I must stop my PhD in Switzerland and I should return to India. And on compassionate ground, he will provide this drug to India so that I can get the drug free of cost. So I told Professor Vasila that later let me have 1 week, and then I would like to talk to different medical insurance companies. If any insurance company will provide me insurance, then I would like to do my PhD. So I tried to talk to different medical insurance company, and one company provided this drug with certain conditions. That for CML, the medicines will come from Switzerland, with Novartis. So they are not going to cover me for CML. But for rest type of disease, if I have fever, cold, or any other type of problem, they will try to provide that medical insurance to me. So with that condition, I started my PhD. And then Mr. Pedro Jose Rivarola. So this, what is the drug donation program? That Swiss government put a lot of pressure on Novartis for developing drug donation program. And this Novartis developed a beautiful program that they would like to contact one US company called Max Foundation. So who all the patients will try to provide their certificates or their doctor's certificate to Max Foundation. Based on Max Foundation's recommendation, Novartis will provide the drug to the patient. And their condition was their monthly income will be less than 5,000 rupees. The patient will be interferon gamma resistant. And then based on that condition, they provided that medicines to me. So when I was in MTech in India, then I applied to Novartis, they rejected this particular applications. And then because I have never taken interferon gamma, because as I told you very clearly that this is highly toxic. But in June 2002, it was found that all the patients who were on interferon gamma and who were on Gleevec, they performed equally well. So there was no statistical significant difference on effect of interferon gamma on CML. So then the Novartis company and Max Foundation made me as a voluntary purpose, they made me Max Station. So from India, probably thousands of patients used to apply to their doctors, and their doctors used to fill a lot of forms and they used to send to me. I was doing my PhD and I was also taking care of all these forms, and I was forwarding those forms to Max Foundation USA. And surprisingly, I found that they are mostly they are getting rejected. So based on these 3 criteria, they are trying to reject all the cancer patients. Then I was in touch with few other patients, caregivers or NGO charitable activities who are doing, for example, Leora Freyfield was from Israel, and Anjana Raichodhuri is from Singapore. So they provided beautiful support for me. They fought tenaciously for me. And I was very grateful that there was a major breakthrough in CML. And then I was indebted to brilliant and hardworking clinician scientist team who developed this drug. And that drug was a major paradigm shift in the field of any type of cancer. So then I tried to, because of this clinical data, they tried to remove these 3 criteria. So then whoever will get this CML, so they must show that they are Philadelphia chromosome positive. So they should supply their Philadelphia chromosome positive report, and their doctor should recommend that they should get this type of drug. So then I was doing my PhD, and then I was taking care of these patients, but I was going through tremendous amount of pressure, because so many cancer patients are in late stage of cancer, and as soon as they are getting this drug free of cost from Novartis, they pass out of it. And then because of that tremendous amount of pressure, I told Professor Vasela that I cannot continue my PhD with him. So I tried to join University of Basel, where I wanted to do research on tissue engineering. At that time, I was also doing charitable activity with respect to Indian students who were doing PhD in Switzerland. In Zurich, there is one organization called INSAS, Indian Student Association Zurich. So that is the PhD student organization in whole Switzerland or in Zurich. So they tried to arrange any kind of fund. So for Holi, Diwali, they used to arrange a lot of fund. And after spending money, they used to see how much amount of fund is remaining. And then I talked to them. And then as a student coordinator and as a volunteer for CPA, I tried to connect them with CPA. And then I got one particular patient called Shayoni Sengupta, who also suffered from acute lymphoid leukemia. So with the help of people who worked in TCS in Zurich, Indian students, we raised around 3,000 Swiss francs. So which we sent to Mrs. Shubha Mudgal in Cancer Patient Aid Association. And Shubha Mudgal connected with the doctors of Shayani. So Shayani is now completely free of cancer. And further, she has got very good marks in class 12. Now she is going through her graduation in geography. So Shayani was the first cancer patients on which I have recommended, and then we provided that support. And then further, we provided a lot of fund for various other cancer patients. So during 3 years of my PhD, we generated a lot of fund and we transferred to CPA, and CPA distributed a lot of fund to all the cancer patients. So I finished my PhD quite fast. In 3 years, I finished my PhD. Then I got postdoc position in Boston, in Tufts University. In Tufts University, there is one professor, Professor David Kaplan, who was a big renowned scientist on silk-based biomaterials. And then I got opportunity to work with him. And then as I shifted from Europe to USA, again, I need to look for my medicine. And in USA, I got Glivec very easily because of their medical insurance system will have co-payment. So I will pay 50% money and the medical insurance system will also pay 50% amount of money. In 2008, I joined as assistant professor in IIT Delhi. Then came third setback. So during that time, in 2008, when I joined, then there was a little background I have learned. So Novartis company has got exclusive marketing right on imatinib in 2003. So the imatinib, that exclusive right means that no other generic companies can produce generic medicines. So at the time, there was 5 generic companies who were also producing the cheaper version or generic drugs. So the Cancer Patient Aid Association went to Chennai High Court, and then finally they took that court case to Supreme Court. to overturn that EMR, that exclusive marketing right. And before that case was heard, then there was another new patent law which came into Indian patent. So that patent law is known as Section 3D of Indian patent law. So this Section 3D is that patents who are evergreening. So Novartis had one patent and they enjoyed that high price for that patent. Then they provided that second patent that they changed certain chemical in that molecule. So there is probably methyl group, they will increase ethyl group. And then because of that, they will claim that now they are going to develop a better medicine. So that no company will be able to produce this drug in generic medicine, or no company will be able to sell this type of drug. So this Section 3D of Indian patent law will prevent evergreening or the extension of patents. So the patents are not allowed on new forms of existing medicines unless they demonstrate a significant increase in efficiency. So during my postdoc, I got my Glivec through my medical insurance. And after I returned to India, I contacted again the coordinator of Max Foundation in India to include me in that drug donation program. And then that patient assistance program declined to help me to have the Glivec. So that their argument was that IIT is a very rich organization. So IIT should be able to pay for the drug. And then IIT should also submit a letter that in future, I am not going to get any medical reimbursement from IIT. And then I talked to Deputy Director of IIT Delhi, and he told that as you are a student, as you are my student, so I would like to unofficially tell you that IIT is not going to recommend. So either you are doing very well in postdoc, so you should go back to USA and where you will get your medicines, or you try to get this medicine from some other source. But from IIT, we will not be able to pay your salary plus 1.25 lakhs for that medicines. So then it is very difficult to go off Glivec, because if I stop Glivec, then that tyrosine enzyme, kinase enzyme will be again active in my body. And the patients who will stop Glivec, they have got relapse of that disease. So then they will also have higher chance of T31, 315 mutation. So then one cannot take the Glivec offline. So I need to have Glivec. And then that either I need to have Glivec or I need to have the generic medicines of Glivec. So then I need to purchase Glivec's generic medicine, and I purchased Glivec from Natco Pharma in Hyderabad. And then in the meantime, that Novartis was fighting with CPA. So they first lost that court case in Chennai High Court twice. And then the court case came to Supreme Court, and that court case was ongoing. So then there was a lot of reporters who contacted me. So that Novartis and CPA both know that I joined IIT Delhi, and then I was one key player. So one reporter contacted me that on behalf of CPA, Mr. Subhash Anand Mr. Anand Grover was fighting this particular case. So Anand Grover told that Novartis is running this program, which is completely fraud program, and Novartis or Max Foundation could not rebut Mr. Grover's claim at court. And then that there was, based on the data provided by Max Foundation to the reporters, they were probably giving this drug free of cost to around 10,000 patients. But as per the estimate of CPA, probably there are 5 lakh patients who are in India who are having chronic myeloid leukemia. And then there was a lot of mismatch. And then finally, that Novartis lost that court case in Supreme Court. So in 2013 April, Supreme Court rejected Novartis' final appeal for the patent of imatinib mesylate or Glivec. And then I remember particularly that when Dr. Daniel Vasela and myself discussed, Dr. Daniel Vasela was very much cautious about the section 3D of Indian patent law. So he told that Indian patent law will not allow us to sell this drug for a long time. So they are going to, in India, organic chemists can develop a lot of drug molecules and they have less protection in India. So he was very particular about India, and after 10-15 years, that renowned advocate Anand Grover and CPA proved that he was actually right. So then Novartis still runs that program, but probably around 1,000 patients get this drug free of cost. So that Novartis, as per the Supreme Court hearing, imatinib mesylate cannot be patented in India, and they have not got any extension. So this battle was out of court. Then that the Glivec case gave one eye opener for me. So there was series of weak patents filed by Novartis. There was absolutely high price. There was overhyped claim on R&D cost. And then there was the reality about compassionate access program. And because of that, Novartis lost that case in Supreme Court. And then this particular story gave a very beautiful take-home message for me. So the first take-home message is that cancer could not slow down my life or could not impede my dream or my career. So I am still a professor in IIT Delhi, and I purchased the generic medicines. Rather than that cancer, that CML could give a gentle jolt to transform my life in a positive way by offering a new perspective and resilience and gratitude. And I consider myself extremely fortunate and blessed, as the diagnosis and the access of life-saving medicines happened in perfect time. So if you can imagine that if it is in 1980s or 1990s, then I would not get chance to have Glivec. But as I am diagnosed in 2000 April, then I got that Glivec. So I could get in touch with many wonderful people around the world who are probably cancer patients or caregiver or social workers. For example, I mentioned that Leora Freyfield from Israel, or Anjana Raichaudhuri from Singapore, or Shubha Mudgal from Mumbai. So I really learned a lot of information, a lot of good features from them. So cancer taught me the meaning of life, which is living a single day. We should live a single day with joy and humility. We should learn something new every day. We should spend good time with my friends and family members. We should have love and appreciate even small things. So as we are going through this Corona period, so we have all passed through the Corona period for 2 years. And we all know that the second phase of Corona was really dramatic. We all lost many friends. So now we have all learned that life can be very short. It can be because of my CML, it can be because of Corona, it can be just road traffic accident, but people may lose their life in a second. So we should appreciate every moment together. And we should try to learn that. I used to remember during my MTech, I used to keep a diary, and every day I used to write down what new things I did today, what new things I have learned today. So that was one big jolt in my life. So then in what I did in my research work, so that is about 3D bioprinting. So whatever I told about my life stories, so you can ignore that part. And now I am moving towards the next part. So in this part, I would like to work on 3D bioprinting. So in 2008, in India, there is no other professors who were working on 3D bioprinting. So 3D bioprinting is basically a rapidly growing technology. So then this 3D bioprinting will enable one to recapitulate the desired tissue architecture of our anatomical human body, and they will try to mix with bioink, living cells, and biochemical signals. And by layer manner, we will be able to print that type of tissues. So we can develop any tissues by tissue engineering, but traditional tissue engineering failed to develop complex biomimetic assembly, and they will try to develop oversimplified tissue construct, which will offer poor relevance to human physiology in terms of architecture or cell orientation, and then we will not achieve cellular morphology. And that is what 3D bioprinting can do. So whatever we cannot achieve by tissue engineering, we can achieve that by 3D bioprinting. So by 3D bioprinting, we can achieve any kind of tissues have a particular type of orientation of cells and orientation of extracellular matrix. So by 3D bioprinting, we will try to achieve the particular goal of orienting cell orientation, and particular type of cell functionality will also get implemented. So there are a lot of further challenge in 3D bioprinting that we are trying to solve. So right now, the one big challenge is to develop the bioink. So people who are trying to develop a lot of bioink, and then people are trying to develop anatomical irrelevant type of structure. They are trying to deposit a lot of cytokines, growth factors, and natural polymers, synthetic polymers, but they are not achieving the proper bioink. And second is all the rheology of the bioink is still very big challenge. We do not able to develop a bioink with proper estimated rheological features. And then we try to develop any kind of tissues by mixing bioink and cells. And then that will meet the requirement of alignment and orientation of cells in that targeted tissue. So if we are trying to develop artificial cartilage, artificial heart, so that 3D bioprinting will be able to develop that type of tissue. So we thought that since last 40 years, people are trying to develop a lot of different type of tissues around the world, but mostly people are not able to develop any kind of tissues. So I tried to take a different approach. I tried to develop in vitro disease model, and I tried to develop a lot of small tissue patches. And then I tried to collaborate with a lot of pharmaceutical company or cosmetic company. So these cosmetic companies provide their drug molecules and scan the drug molecules over that in vitro disease condition. And based on that, we can predict which drug molecule will be most effective or most efficient for human clinical trial. So before we actually spend all the time on small animal model, large animal model, then a human clinical trial. So by the time, probably 10 to 15 years will be wasted. Instead, we can develop the 3D bioprinted model by healthy human cells, and then we can apply drug molecules and then check efficacy very quickly. So I can save 10 years period of time, and then with respect to significant amount of time, significant amount of money, we can tell that company that this particular drug molecule will be most effective for this diseased condition. So with this, I am trying to stop my talk. Now it is 3:18. So I would like to take home message again, that based on that cancer gave me a new perspective, that how we can visualize any type of problem and how we can find a novel solution for it. And now I have utilized this knowledge for 3D bioprinting applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh, to tell us completely about an area which is, I would not say new, but then obviously this is one area wherein many people are confronting. And recently, when we were having a program on the International Women's Day, that day also we organized a program in our studio, which was basically on cancer awareness. And the doctors and the caregivers and the cancer warriors, all those were there. So that is how, I mean, we teachers and the students have some could relate what you are telling us today. But then we salute to the spirit that you have, and that despite all these odds which you told us, which was really even scary in listening as to how you would have thought in such a difficult situation. And not only that, that you fought and survived, but then you continued doing whatever you wanted to do, which is really strange and which is really, really inspiring. My question to you, though most of the things you have told us, my question to you is that whatever you fought in your life, whether on the cancer front, on making the drugs available, not only to yourself, but looking into the ways and means, then the drug is available to all those people who are suffering the similar kind of conditions, and cancer and different forms of cancer are really a big problem in a country like India. And for people who cannot afford, it's really difficult. It's a nightmare how to get out of the disease and how to survive and how to live a life. So if you can tell us something, whatever you did on this personal front or on the front of the disease and the drugs and making all the facilities available to the people at affordable cost. On the academic front, how did you decide whatever, I mean, you studied in your career, in your BTech, in your MTech, and your PhD and the postdoctorate, the whole area of textile or the fiber engineering and the related areas on which you are working. If you can tell us in very, very brief about that, your academic work, and how do you relate that work to the people at large?
So as I mentioned that we are working on 3D bioprinting, and then we are collaborating with various pharmaceutical companies or cosmetic companies, and we are testing their drug molecules over our in vitro disease model. So for example, my students are working on skin scar. In skin scar, probably we all suffer from different type of wounds, and in our body, if that is full thickness injury, that will lead to development of full thickness skin scar. So if it is severe burn injury, then patient will have a lot of scar tissue in their body. And if the scar tissue is present in internal organ, then that will lead to eventual functional disruption. So we would like to develop a lot of drug molecules for solving the scar problem. So we are trying to scan that type of disease, that type of new drugs, and we are trying to predict the behavior of that medicines which can reduce the scar.
Yeah.
Then, for example, another disease example is aging skin. As we grow old, our skins will become aged, and then there is an undulated morphology between the dermis and epidermis. So that will become flat, and because of that, our skin will become very fragile. So by playing with the bioprinting, we will try to recapitulate the undulated morphology between dermis and epidermis. So there is some disease, for example, psoriasis. So where undulated morphologies will be more prominent, and in case of aging, the undulated morphologies will become very flat. So by playing with the bioprinting, we are trying to replicate the diseased condition, for example, aging skin, psoriasis, and then we are trying to apply different drug molecules and predict their behavior. So by this process, we are trying to conduct our research.
Yeah. So moving ahead, I will request the students who are there in this session and those who have been listening so patiently to Professor Ghosh for so long, so they might be having certain queries. So any teachers or the students who would like to ask things further to Professor Ghosh? Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, yes.
Good afternoon, sir. How can we tackle a pseudoscience with creative awareness? I mean, how to create awareness about pseudoscience on social platforms?
So when I was doing my MTech, then at that time Novartis was doing this research on these drug molecules. But I realized that a lot of clinicians in Calcutta or in Delhi had no idea about all the ongoing research. For example, Dr. Vinod Kochupillai was head of IRCH in AIMS, and then I tried to get her that if you can recommend Glivec for me. So I was surprised that Dr. Vinod Kochupillai had no idea about this type of drug molecules. So she told that she was a very kind person, and she told that you better do meditation, and meditation will bring all your shanti in your mind, and that will bring peace in your body. So then, so one is lack of knowledge about upcoming studies, and second is purposely some people would like to develop a lot of wrong approach. Like if you take this medicine, then that will happen. So that is not proved properly. So in order to conduct that there is proper educational approach, then the doctors would like to reach the clinicians or researchers who are doing research. And then we should not, right now in Facebook, probably we can write anything. So there should be a better approach in that we should control this type of fraud information. So what people would like to do that in abroad, the people's online groups are very active. So if there is any information, all the patients would like to discuss among themselves, and they used to discuss with the doctors before applying that type of medicines. So after getting a proper conclusion, then they take this medicine.
Yeah. So moving on, another student, Sajal Mishra, wants to ask a question. Sajal?
Good afternoon, sir. I wanted to ask, how can we build inquisitiveness for science among this common public?
So that is like it is our responsibility as the faculty members' responsibility that we should reach the schools. So when the children are studying in school, they are very curious. They are really curious that how this is happening, how that is happening. So we faculty members or researchers should go to the school and talk to them that because of this is happening. And then you can develop a better mindset of those children who are studying in school. Second approach would be to read more about research papers, about various other upcoming fields. So for example, I searched my field as medical textile. When I was doing my BTech, I searched about various fields and I tried to identify a new field that is medical textile. So that I feel really curious what type of research is ongoing in medical textile. And I tried to follow all the research papers, and that made me today. That whatever I started to search in 1999, I now try to implement those things in my lab. So by following these two approaches, we can increase our level of curiosity.
Okay, so moving on, is there any more students or teachers who are willing to ask the questions or? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Drishti.
Sir, I want to ask that what is the future of genetic modification and medicine in India?
So right now, a huge amount of research is ongoing. So I gave you one example of chronic myeloid leukemia where there is one particular genetic effect. So now people are, by getting good result, by getting motivations from CML, and then a lot of new drug molecules are focused on various type of cancers. So now fairly confidently, we can cure a lot of breast cancer, a lot of other type of cancers. So right now there are two type of research ongoing in India. So a lot of pharmaceutical companies are developing generic molecules. So that molecules which have been discovered in abroad, and now Indian pharmaceutical companies are developing cheap, affordable generic molecules. Second is they are trying to do a lot of fundamental research, and they are trying to develop lot of new generic drugs, lot of new genetically modified drugs. For example, probably you have learned about CAR T cells. So that is also one drug which will focus on genetic modified disease condition.
Thank you so much.
That is how we move on towards the end of this program. It was really an interesting session in the sense, I mean, for two reasons, if I am able to conclude it properly. One, we could understand as to how much vigor and how much spirit somebody can move on and can do something good for the society, for other people. And the whole life journey of Professor Saurabh Ghosh is an exemplification of this particular aspect. And secondly, we could understand about an area which is completely new for us. For us, when I say, obviously, for all those people who study humanities and social sciences and who are in a field like media or journalism or any related area, who understand science not that much the way any scientist or any technocrat will understand. And this new area, as Professor Ghosh says, I mean, 10, 20 years down the line, it was really a new thing. Medical textile. For even today, I mean, to some extent, we know a little bit about this. But this is so, I mean, my takeaway from this will be to my student that they should always try to explore something which is new. There's always something new which within which whatever we are living in, whatever we are studying, we should always try to look at that newer aspect, and we should try to explore as to what more can be done. And now, as far as the genetically modified drugs and all, a lot of stuff is available nowadays. And it's not that it's the domain of scientists, because scientists do a lot of such things, a lot of such researches, the outcome of which to the benefit of the mankind. So ultimately, it's to the benefit of the common people who suffer from this disease or that disease and who are facing a lot of hardships in life. So we all owe to the scientists like Professor Ghosh, who do a lot of such things which are to the service of the humanity at large. So we are really thankful to you, Professor Ghosh, to sparing so much time and talking to us all and enlightening us and helping us in understanding all such new areas which are really the need of the hour. Thank you, Professor Ghosh.
Thank you so much.
The first impression that comes to our mind about any college: tall buildings, big classrooms, large lobby areas, thick books, IT labs, assignments, class tests, and projects. Nothing besides that. Every hour, minute, second spent here help us carving and shaping our persona, cultivating innovative mindsets for the challenging world. Learning is a lifelong process. Sharing knowledge, inculcating values of life, spark the innovative horizons of mind. Fun and frolic is the nature of every nook and corner here. A daily dose of thrill we are sure to get here.